I said, okay, how many people are there? And he said, there's 4 of us. Me, that guy. I said, where's the other 2? He said, they're trapped in the hull of the tugboat.
So this whole area inside the tugboat was all underwater. This was listed at 45 degrees, so they probably had about this much air to breathe. They managed to get the porthole out, but this porthole, this is only 8 inches across.
All of the refrigerators, equipment, galley equipment, such as stove and stuff, had slid against doors. There's no other way out other than through the side. My biggest fear in this whole situation was watching 2 men drown in front of me.
The call came in at 5:15 a.m. in the morning on March 31st of 2023.
Search and rescue alarm went off. At that moment, I was on the treadmill. You know, working out's my happy place, so I was already in the zone and ready to take on whatever was coming. And I ran down here where I met with the officer of the day, and he turned around wide-eyed, looked at me and said, "We have a capsized tugboat." I ran down the boat and lit it off, got it started, and was ready to leave the pier as soon as the rest of the crew got there.
While the crew headed out to the scene, running scenarios to prepare for what they'd be up against, the Sabine pilots, a marine transport organization who was near the site at the time, had tied themselves up to the sinking tugboat, awaiting the Coast Guard.
The pilots kind of control the ship traffic through here, and as such, we have people on the water 24/7, 365. We work very closely with the Coast Guard.
We motored up to it, saw a Sabine Pass pilot boat tied off to the starboard side, the right side of the boat.
He immediately jumped on the tug. It's sinking, you know, I mean, and you can see it's settling in the water, so you gotta admire anybody that'll jump on a sinking boat.
And I jumped down in waist-deep water on the side of the tugboat, and I looked through an 8-inch porthole, and I saw Captain David's face, and he was just absolutely terrified. And I told him, "I'm gonna help you. I will get you out of there no matter what."
Was it risky for you to jump on that boat? I mean, what could have happened?
There was potential. It was laying on the side, so it could have rolled over and brought me with it.
It's gotta be scary, you know, but that's the definition of courage, right?
It was very risky, but in the nature of the distress, that is what's special about Coast Guard members. We don't think about ourselves, we're thinking about the mission at hand. We're there to save a life, so we will do everything we can.
That included MK2 Collins taking a handheld blowtorch to the side of the hull, while the 2 men floated, struggling to breathe in the small space they had left.
As I was cutting, I was filling up their area with smoke and sparks. And Captain David started yelling and waving his hands, told me to stop, that they couldn't breathe. I closed the gas off on it and passed them a line. And Captain David tied the line around himself, and then I passed the torch to him and I held him against the hull as he cut. And as he cut, I was just being showered with sparks. It got so hot. I wound up with blisters all over me, but as he cut, I told him, the faster you cut, the faster you can get out and the faster you can stop lighting me up. So just get after it, and he did. So once the hull was cut 3/4 of the way around, I took the crescent wrenches and squatted down and lifted to bend the hull up and out of the way. After I got it open, I saw Captain David, and Captain David said, "Get my deckhand out first." Oh. His deckhand was a big fella. He came up to the window, and I told him, "Hug me and don't let go." So he hugged me, and I pulled with all my weight and laid flat across and drug him across the top of myself onto the pilot boat. And then I stood back up and did the same thing for Captain David. Later on, after Captain David had got out, he said, "The minute the Coast Guard showed up, I knew I was going to be okay." And I told him, I was like, "Well, that makes one of us." Captain David wrote a long message to our sector, Houston, and sent that message up. He was just talking about his boys and how he's very grateful that they get their father because I was able to get him out. It's something that I'm going to carry forever with me, so it's something to be proud of.